Muskan aims to popularize heritage literature and culture among children and young adults by integrating these elements into both formal and informal education through various activities like cultural programs, storytelling, theater, dance, music, and art. These activities are organized in collaboration with national and international associations and institutes, extending across India and beyond. Today, we are delighted to have with us Anirban Bhattacharya. Anirban, or Andy Bhattacharya, has over 21 years of experience in sales, go to market, strategy, research, development, and implementation of next generation transformation programs. His reach has spanned across sustainability, supply chain, manufacturing, industrial Internet of Things, and customer experience. After studying engineering at the Birla Institute of Technology and Science, India, and he earned his MBA from the, is it FOCA or FOCA?
It's a Fuqua School of Business.
FUCA,
Fuqua School of Business.
uh, FUCA School of Business at Duke University, where he specialized in strategy and marketing. He founded Amplo Global Incorporated in 2019, an artificial intelligence led sustainability risk analysis organization that has transformed how an organization executes risk management and carbon accounting through data strategy. He is also an adjunct at the Indian School of Business and Rutgers University. Andy is a supply chain practitioner and sustainability leader, climate risk advisor, Forbes author, patent holder on data monetization theories, TEDx speaker, and advisor to technology startups. His recent book on Industry 5.0 and data economy aggregates his vision towards a connected and green economy. His non-profit organization has served several grassroots organizations from Bihar to the Sundarbans in India. Lately, he has been advising CEOs for sustainability transformation growth. Wow, that is such a, a wonderful introduction, I think. Over to you, Anirban.
So good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here and really speak about climate and climate change. I will try to make it um, very simple, and hopefully you enjoy the session. And please, if you have any question, please let me know. What I will do is I will speak for maybe a few minutes. I definitely want to make this very interactive. And if you have any question, please write down, and I will take questions at the end. So if that is okay with you, I will get started. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. Uh, so let me share my screen. I have a few slides that I will explain what climate and climate change is, and yeah, I'll speak for a while, and but write down all the questions, please, okay? And then I will take one by one. So, so I'd like to explain what this whole climate change is about. I'm actually minimizing the camera, so I will not be able to see you. So I will speak, and if you cannot hear me, just let me know. Then I will know what's going on. But I cannot see all of you now. I've minimized the camera. So. So look, this is little there is a part of science and there's a part of uh, non-science as well, as I call it, because there is something when we talk about climate, we talk about sustainability. That's the term that we use in the industry. It's called sustainability. You can write it down. do some homework on it on the word that I just mentioned. And as you grow, as you go to your college, university, you will see that sustainability is a career by its own. People actually are serving um, in the ecosystem with just sustainability as a career stream. So, so first of all, as you grow up, you definitely have courses like geography, uh, social science, physical science, all these all these courses you will go through, and I will try to create a relevance to it. So if you really see this picture, um, we all know our Earth is round. So what happens is on Earth we have light from the sun. The sun is actually putting like sending its rays on the Earth, and the the way it works is it actually transmits back Earth the atmosphere when the sun rays come in, it actually goes back to the universe. So what's happening is because of pollution, because of many factors, there's a lot of pollution in the air. We always get to hear Delhi and a few other places who are very polluted sometimes right now. As you know, like the smoke going on because the farmers are letting up the haze. It's a season, as you know, in Delhi. So, so it actually stops the sun's ray to go back to the universe. And what it happens is it creates a layer. If you know, there's a planet named Saturn. Saturn has a layer, right? Just like that, Earth is also facing a similar challenge where there's a there's a gas layer which is forming around the atmosphere because the sun rays are not able to go back due to that whole, let's say, pollution, and the temperature of the earth is growing because the heat is not going out of the atmosphere. So climate change is happening. So the re-radiated heat, it should go back, it should escape into the space, right? But it's not happening because of the pollution. So since it's not happening because of the pollution, the Earth's temperature has increased by 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is huge. I don't want to get into too much details why it's huge, but if that piques your interest, that intrigues you, you should read about it. And I'm always there for to help you. I have I'm very interested to stay in touch with you. So so definitely study about greenhouse effect. The thing that I just explained is greenhouse gas effect, which basically um, it doesn't um, it doesn't go out of the atmosphere into the space because there is so much pollution. So if you have any question, please write it down and I'm going to take at the end. Please write it down. So I'm going to explain the diagram. So you have the earth, solar radiation coming in, heat should be going out. Okay. So it should go to the space. It's not happening. So because there's a layer of pollution and thickness of the air, and it's actually transmitting back the heat back to the earth, and the temperature of the earth has grown by 1.5 degrees Celsius. So some of them you may have geography right now, science right now, you may not, but if this intrigues you, do some research around it. Um, I I have seen students have picked up this as a project in their school. And of course, if you need any help, I will there to guide you. So please write down the questions. I'm not taking the questions right now. So the next one I will explain is what happens because of that. Right? So you see, this in geography, we all study glaciers. Glaciers, as you know, they're the most solidified state of water, and that is naturally formed, but they are melting. But they're melting. And why it is melting? Because since that layer, that pollution layer, is not allowing the heat to go away, the temperature is now more warm on the earth. So glaciers are melting. Why it is a bad thing? It's more water for us, right? But why it's a bad thing? Because the resources of the earth is, um, I would say, the ecosystem is very equal in the way that once it becomes warm, where that huge portion of the snow will come in. So one day, if all the glaciers are melted and it transforms into water, it will someday there will be no more water or glacier on the earth, right? So so that's where it is important that we save the planet. So glaciers, snow peak mountains are better than dry mountains with water coming in to the local cities and floods happening. The sewage system fails. So it is very important to realize that glaciers, Himalayas, as they're full baked with snow now, as this winter is coming in India and in Himalayas, of course, the winter has started. It's very good to have snow-peaked mountains, and a glacier should not be converted into water, right? So, so that's so that's something I want to explain why it is dangerous. Again, write down any question around glaciers, around water, around mountains, um, why it is melting. I can explain it one more time, but please write down the questions. I will take it at the end. So now let's talk about soil, right? So ultimately, what it should happen is, so you have mountains. We talked about mountains, right? We talked about we talked about um, glaciers, mountains, glaciers. Now let's talk. We talked about a little bit of the river, the water, and it goes to the ocean. That's generally a cycle. But it's also important to understand that as global warming is happening, there's a lot of erosion is also happening. So erosion is a concept which is eroding, like it takes away the soil from the base of the earth. And soil is the most efficient way to hold carbon, carbon dioxide. You may have heard, may not. That's a gas, just like oxygen. you and I are breathing oxygen, right? We should not breathe carbon dioxide. So the ecosystem stays stable when the soil is holding the carbon. If the soil releases the carbon, then it's not good. Erosion releases soil, soil releases carbon, and that's not good. And carbon dioxide is adding to that heat, that layer, and the sun's rays are not being re-radiated back to the universe, back to the space. So if you really see this, erosion is not a good thing because it has soil. Soil holds carbon dioxide, and people who are living here, they should not smell carbon. They should not breathe carbon. Sorry, should not breathe carbon. They should breathe oxygen, right? But because of the erosion, it's going into the ocean. Okay? So that's not good. So climate change, the concept I explained, heat dissipation, heat re-radiation back and forth, glaciers melting, soil eroding, and it's just making it worse. So when this all started many, many years before, when we did not even realize that um, pollution, soil erosion, industrialization, as you make more factories, suddenly we all, we in this room, we all are in the era, in the zone, in the in the in the in the system, in the time of witnessing this. So somebody in 1924 might not have witnessed this much, but in 2024, we are, if I may say this little not in the right way, we are lucky to see this, but it's not good for the earth. It's not good for the planet, right? So in that way, we are witnessing something which in 100 years before, it was not there, right? So long story short, this is something because of that whole radiation analysis. Glacier is melting, soil is eroding, and it's affecting our daily life. Now, there is a uh, there is a there is a impact. There's an impact to the business as well. Business means your parents go to work. If you and based on that, their business is also getting impacted. And every organization, every company now wants to improve the condition and trying to avoid emitting carbon, releasing carbon. So it's a responsibility. It's a corporate responsibility. It's a social responsibility. Social like you and I, corporate like an organization, right? It's everybody's responsibility to make the planet a better place to live and really manage waste, erosion correctly so that ultimately it doesn't release that much carbon dioxide and we plant more trees and really stop the cycle of melting the glacier. Because, as you know, trees, soil are big, big carbon dioxide holder. The scientific term that we use, it's called sink, 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 carbon sink. So, very important to understand that what is your role, how responsible you are as a citizen to help the planet to be a better place to live. So let's talk about a little bit of waste. So we talked about glaciers, we talked about mountains, we talked about erosion, soil, trees, river. Um, let's talk about let's talk about waste. So when you and I are having food, um, you should not waste it, because once you waste, it actually goes back to a pile of garbage. And these organic foods, organic waste, sometimes they are good for the soil to make it more fertile, but it doesn't work like that. So all the waste goes to a big pile of dirt, and it changes into greenhouse gas. So as you take the waste, if you can repurpose it, that's great. Make fertilizer out of it, feed few animals, feed the poor people, it's great. But that doesn't happen always. It goes back to a big pile and it converts into organic waste emitting carbon. That's not good. So you have to be conscious on what you're trying to do. Awareness as a social champion, corporate champion, you have to take that responsibility as a child. As you grow, you become like a responsible citizen. It is very important to manage the waste rightly in the right manner. So then after this, I will take questions. I will explain and spend some time with you. It is the inorganic, which is not organic waste is more dangerous. That's plastics. So it is very important to have the responsibility. All of you in this session right now is to make sure if you're using a plastic, which is very tough in India to not to use, you do two things. Okay? You take this bottle and the cap and somehow put the cap inside the bottle and crush it so that it doesn't get reused by some people who cheats. Second, you put this in a particular place where it will be recycled, it will be reused, so that it doesn't go to the ocean. It doesn't go on like unidentified as a waste. It should not go to the ocean because ocean life gets affected. I'm sure you have access to smartphones sometimes or Google. Read about the whole there's a country called Philippines. In Philippines, there's a city called Manila. So there's a river called Manila River in the downtown of the city. So if you read about how they have cleaned the river, it can be a huge game changer for you to learn about climate change. So inorganic waste is very dangerous. It's more dangerous than the organic waste, and it ultimately really affect the flora and the fauna, the vegetations and the animals, and ultimately it indirectly and directly affects the health of the planet, converting into dangerous gases, which goes up to the atmosphere. So we talked about mountains, glaciers, soil, river, food waste, and plastic waste. So these all affects climate. And why it affects climate? Because it ultimately goes up, it converts into dangerous gas, which you and I should not breathe, and it goes up in the air and it sits as a ring around the Mother Earth. One thing you know very well, when a factory is emitting like black fumes, black air, that's not good. That's not good, as you know very well. Hopefully, you know that. So every factory, every car that's emitting um, fumes, they're emitting gases. And those are polluting the environment. So you will get to hear that a lot of these cities in India have mandated emission certificate of the car, right? So that's the reason. So I just shared a few thoughts about climate change. I would love to take some questions. So so should I start from the chat window, or how should we take? Okay, there's some questions out here already. Somebody says hello. So somebody is asking me a question about if all organic substances produce greenhouse gases, then how would it be possible to restrict it? So it's a very good question. So so organic substances are not always producing greenhouse gases, right? They're producing when it becomes a waste. So generally, you will get to hear from your parents, and I also work in some places in India where I we plant organic seeds and grow vegetations in schools like yours. So basically, not always, right? It's not always. It's sometimes where um, it becomes a waste, then it creates a problem. And the waste is generally when it's processed. When it's processed, it's dangerous. The next question is, and you also asked, how should we restrict it? It's the consciousness, it's how you're using it. Please do not waste food. If you don't want to eat, find an animal, put in a right tumbler or a bucket. Use this as a fertilizer for your garden. Please do not waste it. Okay, the next question is, does methane gas cause global warming? And if yes, why? Yes, methane as a combination. As you grow, you will run into a course, a subject called chemistry. So in chemistry, you will learn that why methane gas is dangerous. The combination actually affects your heart, your mental condition if you breathe, and that gas is a chamber gas, as we call it, and it can kill people. So So you will know that various types of gases are there. So suppose if you're interested in science, then you can read about a thing called a laughing gas. It's nitrogen, right? So it will be very interesting for you to know the type of gases. Methane is a bad gas. Okay, so the next question. Um, so even if the ice melts, it can actually be recycled back in the water cycle. So why it is dangerous? Great question again. I'm loving it. Look, when ice melts and it becomes a water pipe, it comes down as a water, how that ice will be replenished. Let's understand that. So the speed of way the glaciers are melting, the water going up become rain and being snow showered, that whole cycle is now broken because of that layer of heat, layer of heat. So the speed way the way the speed of the melting of the glaciers are, that way the mountains are not getting snows. It's not getting that rain. That's the challenge. But the great question. Okay. Next one, how can we minimize carbon emission from homes, electronic devices? Another great question, right? So, so you being a responsible citizen, a responsible child, responsible student, uh, turn off lights when you're not using it. Turn off the fan if you're not using it. Make sure that you're not unnecessarily running a microwave, right? So your energy consumption has to be less, right? Why energy consumption has to be less? Because if when the any energy that's coming from the power grid, that energy from the central power grid or the power station is getting energy from the fossil fuel, the fossils, coal. Coal is a source of energy, and coal emits methane gas, carbon dioxide. The less you consume energy, it's better for the planet. So that's how you have to think. But there's a good sense of thing in the question, right? So you don't know all this when you're eating and warming up, right? So how can we minimize carbon emission from homes? So if you really can make sure that you manage your electricity, your waste, okay, your water usage properly, then it automatically can serve the small house and the environment around you, the smaller section. It automatically creates a ripple effect. So great question. The next question is, can melting glaciers have an impact on the future generation? Of course, that's what we're talking about. Great question. Um, Greenhouse gases must have been from the start. Why it is a problem now? Fantastic question again. The reason why it's a problem now, because the balance has lost. We need greenhouse. That's how the plants grow, but the balance is lost. Great question. How does the earth re-radiates the heat? Very good. The earth is round, the sun rays come in, it bounces back to the universe with the same the light speed and the sound speed, right? So now it goes back. It is not able to go back because of the layer of the pollution. That's the reason you will see, you have seen in this summer, some cities in India has gone to 50 degrees Celsius, which was like 40, 35 degrees Celsius even 2 years back. Why do we put bottle cap inside the bottle if we are sending it to a place where it will be reused anyway? Wow, I love the question. Good thinking. The reason there's a practice to put the bottle cap, because what happens between the place where you dump the bottle to the factory, in between, theft happens. Theft. Because you can steal that and sell back to the market with 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 100 rupees, right? So stealing happens. So if somebody steals it before it reaches the destination, then it's not good, right? So you put the plastic cap inside the bottle and crush it. That's a best practice. Um, okay, so there's another question. Why is it important to analyze ice cores to study past climate changes? Well, it is because if we have to understand which day the Earth will have no more ice, that's the reason. 200,000 years or 200 years, we don't know. If One more question here. If non-organic substances are so bad, inorganic, why aren't they be banned? Yeah, I mean, if you really see the city I live in, the name of the city is New York. In New York, plastic is banned. Plastic, there's no plastic in my city. It's when you go groceries, the bags are recycled bags. There's no plastic. The Coke, Pepsi, Fanta bottles are polyfibers. They're not exactly, they're recycled plastics, right? So yeah, there are cities where and India has to do it. Um, oh, there's an interesting question here. I would like to know what your company does. My company does. That's so interesting, so sweet of you. I will talk about it. So my company actually measures carbon. So for any manufacturing process, my company goes, we have a platform, we have some technology which measures carbon. Very good question. Um, okay, so some questions I'm taking. Hopefully, I will be able to take some questions and Mansi, please let me know if I have a hard stop. There are thousands of questions, right? So, and I'm enjoying it, by the way. So, so there's another question is, how do carbon cycle feedback amplify global warming, and what are the uncertainties in predicting their impact? Well, I'm answering these similar questions, but I'll answer the last part, which is uncertainties in predicting their impact. That's a great point. The biggest challenge of carbon emission is uncertainty. The person who is asking this question, um, I'm, I think you know sustainability. Otherwise, you will not be able to ask this question. So I'm very proud of you. So, so there is an uncertainty, and that's what makes it more difficult. So you build a product, carbon emission is X factor. Tomorrow it can be Y factor, which means that there's an uncertainty. So the biggest challenge of global warming and carbon cycle, there is an uncertainty. And what are the uncertainties? Difference of quality of a product, right? So when you eat a sweet, have you ever realized that it might be a little less sweet or more sweet this time? Because the quality lacks, right? The quality varies, not lacks, but varies, right? So there are uncertainties in predicting carbon as well. Great question. Um, So biogas, why it is used? Somebody's asking this question. Biogas is used for various products, like, for example, fueling a house, running a vehicle, right? Running a big machine, which diesel cannot run it. So that is actually a good sign. Your question is, if biogas is bad, why somebody's using the biogas? Biogas is not bad. Usage of the biogas is better actually because you are taking the biogas out of the system and using your for your daily needs. But then the biogas goes up in the air, it has to be recycled. That's what I'm saying. Somebody asked us a laughing gas. So when you smell it, you start laughing, literally. And that's how the body reaction happens. Um, There's another question here. I have heard the solar maximum will take place in 2025, and that will cool down over an 11-year period. 11-year period. So how much does it affect the average temperature of the Earth? Fantastic question. So the solar panels are absorbing heat. So by 2030, the Earth should see a reduction of 0.5 degrees. 0.5 degrees of the earth, not the air. Great question. Is it possible to stop that naturally occurring? Not understanding the question. How does laughing gas work in the body? It's a chemistry question, so we'll skip that. What does sustainability in life actually means? Oh, such a philosophical question. Sustainability in life means something which is healthier, purer, more less carbon emitted product, greener environment, good cycling and recycling methods, because at the end everything is closed loop. We are born, we live, we die, closed loop, right? So those things are there. So it's very good. So that's what sustainability is. Okay, there are tons of questions. I'm going to take maybe a couple of more, and then I will give it back to the hosts. Um, okay, let's pick up a few more questions here. How do renewable energy sources help mitigate climate change? Oh boy, I love the question.
Yes, ma'am. So, actually, hello, I was asking that I have three questions. First
You
is
ask only
that
one, beta. You ask only one, okay?
okay, so you said that the soil it holds carbon, and because of soil erosion, the carbon dioxide is releasing, and then we have to take in carbon dioxide. But the soil has pores inside it, so matlab, how does it hold the carbon dioxide?
Okay, great question. So carbon dioxide is a gas, right? So what happens is, if you take the gas and mix with the moisture of the soil, carbon dioxide. So have you seen this, that when it rains, the pollution is little lesser? If it doesn't rain, it's more dry. That's exactly the same reason. Soil has moisture.
Yes,
Moisture blends with the carbon dioxide. So the mass is constant. The mass in a square box, it's constant. So if you pull it more, if you push more moisture, carbon dioxide resides on the moisture. If you don't have moisture, then carbon dioxide is alone in that box, right? So more moisture holds the carbon dioxide. Soil has moisture. Soil has its own mass, its own body. So if you pick a soil ball in your hand, that soil ball in your hand has various things, but it also has water, moisture. It also has carbon dioxide. So a soil ball, if you go and get, in Hindi we call mitti, right? So that mitti has, right, that whole moisture, carbon dioxide, water, everything together. So it's like a mass is constant between air, body, everything, right? So yeah, so it's think about this as a closed box where you have moisture and carbon dioxide together. More moisture, more soil, more thing, it holds the carbon in that box. So that's how it is.
thank you.
Any other question? I see a few people can unmute yourself and ask any question.
Manik, go ahead.
Yes. So, good evening, sir. Sir, I'm Manik. Sir, my question is that, one second. Yes, sir. So, I was asking that, can you please tell me some more reasons uh, about like the one second.
I like your hair, Manik.
Oh, thank you, sir. Sir, I am asking that, can you please tell me some more causes of like global warming except for greenhouse gases, and how can individuals contribute to like a decreasing global warming?
Great question, Manik. So we talked about climate. That's one aspect of it. The other aspects are, of course, the sister aspects are water and energy as well. So when we say climate, it automatically has a draw towards water and energy. So climate is weather, purely weather, right? If you just want to isolate climate, is weather. In the definition of the climate, you have water, you have heat, energy, right? All are affecting greenhouse environment, right? Waste, we talked about waste a little bit. We talked about uh, well, we haven't talked about fossil fuel as such, but others. But I will talk about charcoal, coal. We haven't talked about that. But all these are connected because it's a cyclical ecosystem. One is being dependent on the other if they're using. So when I go to a factory, I will be using energy, I will be using water, mm, like all the black fumes and the bad airs are coming out, right? So all these are responsible for the global warming. All these are responsible for global warming. Now, there are two other factors also which we didn't discuss today, and I was not intending to discuss because it's a little heavier than this topic, is how people actually manage heat, how people actually manage water. So every city, every government is trying to figure out a way to minimize these usages, right? So it's not about the natural climate, natural water, heat that is responsible to make the planet a better place to live. You and I are responsible to follow the rules and the guidelines of a city so that in English we use a term. You can write it down and you can research on it a little bit. It's called governance. Governance, governance. That's a term that we use from a public policy perspective. So if the public policy are great, then automatically we as responsible citizens will perform better to help climate change. So it's a gamut of things that I explained, and then also you and I are also responsible to follow that governance. I can take a couple of more questions. I see Nandini Mazumdar. That's a
Hello, sir. I'm Prisha. My
Prisha.
question is, what are greenhouse gases? Why are they important? Does it affect global warming?
Yes, very good question. So there are 7 greenhouse gases. I'm not saying the chemical names of the gases, but of course, everything is converted into carbon. So the term that you will see as you grow up, if you're interested in sustainability, you will get to hear this a lot. Carbon equivalent, which is like the 7 gases. One gas is carbon. Other gases are methane and nitrous oxide and others. Those are also bad gases. 7 gases are there. There are some chemical formulas for each of these gases. Greenhouse is very good for plants, for trees, because that's how the chlorophylls, yeah, in the leaves, it becomes green, it becomes dry, then it also becomes green. So greenhouse is a good thing for the plants. Greenhouse sometimes is good thing for running natural gas. You get to hear about natural gas, right? Natural gas, don't use petrol, diesel, use natural gas, right? You'll get to hear that sometimes, or maybe you'll hear it. It's all great. But thing is, if it's too much, then it's not great, right? And that's what's happening, that whole cycle is broken. It's not only used for plants, it's used by plants rather. It's used by many, it's being unused and it's just going and sitting on the earth's layer. That's what the danger is. But to answer your question, greenhouse is very much needed to create the ecosystem balance and the atmosphere balance. Yeah, it is needed because plants need them. Thank you, Prisha.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I can take maybe one more question. Um,
Um,
Satya?
yes. So I had a question that what long-term changes can we take as the global community to prevent glaciers from melting?
A lovely question. So it is a It's also a very loaded question because glacier is up in the hill. You and I are sitting on a city. So in that mountain, that where glaciers are, on that mountain, the glaciers reside. You and I have no control in our daily life. What best we could do is to take care of our, the best we could do to take care of our own environment, you and I, cleanliness, really making sure there's no waste. If there's a waste, put in the right place, right? The culture of being more green in our head, plant trees, drive like check your car all the time that it's not emitting carbon dioxide, black air, black fumes. So if we do all these, it automatically adds up, right? I'm actually not covering anything that an organization like, let's say, Pepsi. We all drink Pepsi, right? Maybe I don't know you drink Pepsi or not. I don't drink Pepsi, but somebody who drinks Pepsi, Pepsi is a company, right? So Pepsi is absolutely trying not to cut trees in Amazon forest because one of the inputs to making that soda is a natural mint, which is found in the Amazon forest. To get the natural mint, you have to cut trees. So next time somebody's drinking soda, please think that that's not good for your health and not good for the society and not good for the ecosystem. I'm not taking away Pepsi's market out here, but that's not good for health, okay? Because they're not good for the society. Because Pepsi has sugar, high sugar, and also Pepsi needs natural plants which need to be cut to get into the manufacturing process. So what I'm giving an example, Satya, is that small things, if we do around, it will add up to the mass and ultimately go up the hill, go up the mountain to stop the glacier to melt. So it's kind of completely cycle. It's a cycle, right? So most of the organizations, if you really have interest in sustainability, if you just go to internet and say Pepsi sustainability, press enter, see what Pepsi is doing. Pepsi is now growing greenhouse gas led mints, not cutting the plants in Amazon. And I'm so happy about that because you can already feel that I'm a big into sustainability. So yeah, people are actually helping the society. People are helping you and me. You and me should help society, and we should make the planet a better place to live. I know there are lots of hands, but I know we are running out of time.
Yes, there are
So
a lot
yeah,
of
so
requests and a lot of, but we are out
is
of
it
time.
is it okay to share my email address if you want to write back to me? Thank you very much. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Hopefully, I was able to demystify a little bit. Hopefully, I haven't used some technical terms which would throw away the students.
1 minute.
So,
So yes, on behalf of the foundation, I would like to thank Anirban Bhattacharya for this insightful session. And I would also like to express our gratitude to Education for All Trust. Last but not the least, a heartfelt thank you to our young listeners and viewers. Your enthusiasm made this session a success. Stay well, stay safe, and goodbye for now. Thank you very much, Anirban. This was so informative. And I'm so happy that children asked so many questions. I'm sure you too were. Yeah.
I really enjoyed, and my apology if I see some questions that are not being answered. So everyone, please don't be offended. I'm so sorry that the time was limited. And hopefully when I come to India, I'm actually coming to India on 8th of
There's one
December.
child who's trying to say something. 1 minute. Can we have just check the chat box? Ma'am, I have one last doubt, ma'am. I have one last doubt, ma'am. Gurbani. Sorry, Gurbani, we will do it next time. We'll call him again and you can ask your question. Promise, that's a promise. Yes,
Thank you so
Anirban
much.
will have you once again. Popular
Thank you
demand.
so much. Thank you. Have a good rest of the
Thank
evening.
you. You have a good day. Yes.
Take care. Bye bye.